Hello, and welcome to In the Parlor, a Grimrose Manor production. You can find our little publication on Substack at grimrosemanor.substack.com. I'm Tim Jackson, and in this episode we welcome Lesley Ann Hyde, the founder and team leader of the Alabama-based Southern Ghost Girls Tours and Paranormal Investigations. You can discover more about the organization at southernghostgirls.com. Lesley Ann was born in Birmingham and is a graduate of the University of Alabama, Birmingham. Her love of travel, history, science, and the unexplained is what gave her the idea to start Southern Ghost Girls. This podcast is a companion piece to an article on Grimrose Manor about the Southern Ghost Girls. I caught up with Lesley Ann and her crew at Muscle Shoals Sound Studio in Sheffield, Alabama, back in early February, where we had some time to chat before a paranormal investigation began at the world-famous music studio. And now, we welcome Lesley Ann Hyde in the parlor. Do you define yourself as a medium?
Yes.
How does a medium know they're a medium? So what event happened early in your life to make you think, oh, everybody doesn't see this, hear this?
With me, it started about 6 years old.
Okay.
And I specifically remember sitting in my room playing Barbies. and I got a message, and it was from a woman, which was a motherly figure. But it was talking Arabic. I know that sounds crazy. But I knew exactly what she was saying. Like, I could understand. And she was telling me, be calm, things are okay. And my grandmother, my actual maternal grandmother, had passed away a few months before. Now, I feel like this was like one of my spirit guides speaking to me. And, it's going to be okay. I was grandma's little girl. And I guess I was, suffering some, sadness, depression. And that was the first instance I ever was able to understand that. And then throughout my life, I continued to get the same messages from this woman speaking in Arabic. But I could translate it. I mean, it was really strange. But then, just in my 20s and going on 30s and everything else, I would actually see and get images of things that were about to happen. And I could tell exactly what was going to happen, and then I would speak or call, my family, you be careful, there's going to be a motorcycle accident or whatever there's going to be. But that kind of stuff has happened my whole life. So I knew it was a little different. And when I really realized that, hey, I've got a gift, and I feel it is from God, this is a God-given gift, there was a missing persons case. This was just, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. It was a big case, and in Alabama, actually nationwide. And I actually started getting the messages again, and could see what happened to her, exactly where she was, who was involved. And so I thought I was crazy, but I got to call the police department. So I did speak to the police department, and 2 hours later there was an arrest. So they were like, yes, everything you said was relevant. So I'm like, this is like something that God has blessed me with. I feel it's kind of like good versus evil type thing. So, everyone has abilities. That's another thing. Everybody has abilities. And, even deja vu is sort of an ability. But you have to continuously work on it. Just like if you were a guitar player, right? You've got to take lessons or teach yourself, and you continue to improve your entire life. So it's the same thing of how I feel.
What made you say, I'm going to take this gift to a different level and be part of kind of a bigger crew and do these investigations?
I had done, every time I would travel anywhere, I would always do one of the ghost tours or paranormal tours. But you didn't really get to do an investigation. It was more ghost stories. You might get a K2, But, you know, I just wanted to do more. And so in 2018, I said to myself, you know, I want to do something for the good of the community, give back to the community. That was one of the things. I was kind of at a point in my life, and I kind of always say it was kind of like a midlife crisis. And I just wanted to do something where I could help people, give back to the community, and that kind of thing. So I remember the guy I was dating at the time, I turned to him and said, I'm going to start a paranormal investigation group, ghost hunts. And he just thought that was the silliest, stupidest idea in the world. And I said, no, I'm going to. This is what I'm going to do. And he's like, you're ridiculous. And I'm like, no. And so from that moment forward, I just went full throttle into it and started setting it up, recruiting a team. And we're called the Southern Ghost Girls Tours. And we originally started out with all women, but we do have some men in the group now. And then once we did it, we got such a huge reception because there wasn't a lot like this in Alabama. Like our first tour that in Birmingham, we had 250 people show up. And then we went to Jasper, Georgia, and we had around 750 people show up. So it was really something new that I was bringing to the area, and it took off.
Is there a particular investigation or instance within an investigation that is just like your most memorable, like, I can't believe that happened sort of a moment?
For me, yes. This occurred 3 or 4 years ago. We were at the F. Scott Fitzgerald Mansion and Museum in Montgomery. And we were spending the night, and it was 4 of us in that room, but it was like 3 in the morning, and we were investigating. And by the way, you don't have to always do it in the middle of the night at 3 a.m. because
Right.
you got spirit all the time,
Right.
wherever you are. And so basically, we were sitting around the table. We had our equipment set up, and we started asking questions to Zelda, which was his wife, Zelda Fitzgerald. We started asking her, was she happy with Scott? You know, we started asking questions about her marriage. And then the door started opening. That was to the Airbnb we were staying in at the mansion. And there's 2 rooms. There was a side Zelda stayed on, and there was a side Scott lived on. And we had the doors kind of open to each apartment, I guess. And all of a sudden, the door literally started opening on its own. And we were like, did y'all see that? And I said, is that Scott coming in? And Zelda, we were using our equipment, the REM pods, and everything just went crazy, like going off, making noise, lighting up. And then I said, do you not want Scott to be here? And then the equipment starts going off. And then somebody asked, did you really write The Great Gatsby, Zelda? Because that's the rumor.
Right.
That he took her work. And when we did that, we were sitting there, and there was a piece of furniture, which was an ottoman in front of a chair, and it literally kind of levitated off the ground, and it moved to the right to block the door.
Wow.
And it was right there. And we all looked at each other and were like, did you just see that? I mean, that's really wild, because that was poltergeist activity, which is not that common at all to see actual, thing. So that's probably my number one thing that just stands out. And when you go there to that place, you get incredible evidence. You really feel that Zelda and Scott are still there. It's just one of my favorite places.
How often do you hear, and kind of what is your response when someone's like, oh, you're opening up the
Well, living in the South is definitely the Bible Belt. I have had a lot of pushback, but I've also had a lot of acceptance. Today's times in the 2020s, I feel like people have really an open mind, especially the younger folks, especially because it's so popular on the TV.
Yeah.
They're growing up with this stuff, that this is just normal. But what I found when I started doing this, a lot of people have had experiences. You're not really allowed to talk about it. People in church or wherever you work will think you're crazy, and that's demons. I absolutely do not come from that belief. I feel that especially my group, and I know me, that we are doing the good. We are not going after demons at all. We're not. You can tell if there is a demon. It gets really negative. We're working in light and love, positive energy, and spirits. Sometimes they're stuck here. Sometimes they're kind of in between. You have spirits. I feel like we have our loved ones with us all the time. We have guides, even guardian angels. So I do not think it comes from a place of negativity or demonic or anything like that. Why did God give me this gift and the others in my group? Yeah. You know, I mean, it's really to hear the stories of those that have passed on that want to share something. And that's what we do, is try to find out their story. I can tell you, I do have a lot of pushback from people. And we're all a faith-based team here. We're not practicing things that are nefarious or anything like that. So I would just tell those people, to please have an open mind. I mean, we do, we don't deal with anything like that.
Kind of what's your personal why into why you do this, kind of why you started the group and why you continue to do this?
So I wanted to, I've always had these paranormal experiences, so I just wanted to expand on that and offer it to the public, to those people that have had experiences, but they can't really talk about it. We offer a safe space for people to come to our investigations. And once we get here, people have had experiences they tell us about. And they think they're, am I crazy? And we're like, no. We have a lot of people reach out to loved ones. And it's very gratifying, satisfying to be able to help someone like that. So I think that's why I continue doing this. I don't go out to just find demons. But the cool thing about us is we give, most of the proceeds goes back to the historic venue. So that was, also one of the reasons I got into it.
If you could give me a little bit of a synopsis from where you started in 2018 and to kind of where you are now, sort of either geographically, number of team members, number of events you have, sort of how have you guys grown over the last 7 or 8 years?
Well, when we first started, it was more difficult because I was having to actually call venues, can we investigate at this place? Can we host a public investigation more? But where we are now, a lot of people do call. They call in and ask me, hey, can we do this? We want a fundraiser. Do you have time to do an event with us? So that's gotten easier. Okay. But I will say it's not easy finding these places because, again, we live in the Bible Belt. Right. And I don't think folklore and ghost stories and that kind of thing is taken lightly here as much as, you go to New Orleans or Louisiana. I mean, it's just part of their culture. Even Mississippi. Yeah, Charleston. And Savannah, Georgia. And that's what I'm saying. Georgia, when we do our events in Georgia, I feel like we get better, more positive reception. Right. We do, but there's something about Alabama, the deep South here. Yeah. But it's easier, a little easier now because a lot of more places will call us to do it than they were at the beginning.
Thanks again to Lesley Ann Hyde of Southern Ghost Girls for talking to me. Again, find out more about Southern Ghost Girls at southernghostgirls.com. And look us up on Substack, grimrosemanor.substack.com. Thanks a lot. Talk to you soon. In the Parlor.